What up, nerds, and welcome to another soul-saving episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 499, recorded on Sunday, October 6th, 2024. Tonight we're talking about another Patreon pick. This was chosen by your boy Naderade. The movie is The Halloween Tree from 1993. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up, man?
Oh my gosh!
What's going on, buddy? I'm really excited to hear that this is a soul-saving podcast now. I didn't know we were leaning into our cult status quite so hard these days.
10 years strong, just saving them one at a time, you know? Don't want to brag or anything, but
we
that's
will
just what
save
we do.
your soul.
Hot tub Christianity.
Just get in our hot tub and you'll be safe, no problem. Next up.
That's man.
Oof. That's how it works, Randy. Calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Trick or Treat. Smell my yeet stains.
Get out. Yeet that intro, please.
I need to smell your yeet stains. Am I hearing that correctly?
Well, at least I didn't do Bob's. You know, that would be a whole different vibe.
That's an aroma for a different environment altogether.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
In my life. I'm actually, fun fact, Randy, I'm not in Seoul today. I'm at the old Kensington. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Bob doesn't know. He's never been here. He's not cool.
Why bother with the digital backdrop? Just sit in front of that roaring fireplace.
I'm the only one that doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about, I'm sure.
Only Rob doesn't know.
The old Kensington Randy.
Rob's ignorant, as we know.
Everybody knows but that dumbass. Last but not least, making her triumphant return to our very normal podcast, everybody welcome our good friend Nicole. What's up, Nicole?
Hey! I am so happy to be here because it is in fact Halloween season. I'm always happy to be with you guys, but especially this time of year. I've got my old school skull mask. I've got fun-sized candy bars. I've got an iced pumpkin boozy coffee. Like, ooh. I am in the spirit.
Nice.
I'm ready for it.
We're doing it. Talking about a Halloween-ass movie, too.
You came in hot with your produced by Deborah Hill shirt as well, so kudos on that.
Yes.
And your nails look awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I'm telling you, it took me a little while. Like, it took me a little longer than usual to get into the spirit this year, but I dove in this weekend. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling
Rip
it.
off your shirt and show Greek your fucking tits.
Hey.
Thanks, Deborah Hill.
Yeah. Thanks, Deb.
What would she think about that line, I wonder?
What?
Man, there's only one thing. We're going to have to send some letters and find out, I think.
Well,
how do you feel about this, really?
I think she's passed away, Randy, so I don't think we'll get an answer.
No, I actually was not aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
She's no longer with us, but
well,
her legacy has endured.
Yeah.
Right.
Worse movies than that one, maybe? I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Hey, Nicole, for those listening that might not be familiar with you and your own podcast, why don't you fill them in and let them know where they can find you?
Absolutely. So my podcast is Light and Shadow, a horror podcast. And I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Right now, I'm doing a religion and horror series. That little niche has sort of fascinated me for a long time. And so I'm talking about both movies that are like obviously religious, like The Exorcist, and then some that aren't quite as much, but have religious elements. And so I have a guest on every month for that. And it's been a lot of really fun conversation. And then I also do some storytelling episodes where I just read like a classic ghost story. I haven't done one of those this year yet, but I think I might do one either this month or maybe for Christmas. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I Light and Shadow Pod. You can search me on your favorite podcatcher and find me there. So come along.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Check it out. Light and Shadow Podcast, everywhere you get your podcasts. Let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping on our end. We're recording a little bit in advance here. So this episode is going to be dropping on the 23rd of October. So at the time of us recording this, we do have our November poll currently posted on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this November. The theme for November is Grim Gatherings, and the movies are Cheap Thrills, Rope, and The Sacrament.
Whoa, Bob, how those numbers looking 2 weeks from the past of when somebody's listening, of when this will be hitting?
Killing it.
As of recording is a quicker way of saying
Yeah,
Back to
as
the
of
future.
recording.
Right now.
As of now.
Right now, Cheap Thrills, first place with 41% of the votes.
41.
And then we got a tie for second place between Rope and The Sacrament, both sitting at 29%.
Oh, okay.
Genuinely
So anyone's
surprised how
game.
competitive this is. Yeah.
Still anyone's game.
We saw what happened last month. Just a big old
Oh my God.
flip flop,
Chaos.
and which we
Just
ended
the
up
gamesmanship.
we ended up having to do a little
a tiebreaker.
spinner, yeah,
A little
tiebreaker.
Full on
Spinner deal.
coin flip situation. Yeah.
Yeah, except it was a spinner.
I'm lobbying for The Sacrament. So, Logan, if you're listening, just, use your powers for good.
Well, I'll just have to cut this out, won't I guess.
Why? That's your pick, Bob.
Everybody
That's
knows
everyone
this.
knows.
Bob.
That's how fair I want to be, okay?
Mhm.
That's how fair I want to be.
Bob plays pretty fast and loose with these secrecy rules.
Extra loose.
Whatever, man. Get your votes in before the end of October. We'll see what we're talking about this November. We're dropping mini casts every single Friday throughout the month of October. At the time of you listening to this, we're about to drop a brand new mini cast on Friday, October 25th. We're going to be talking about Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, episode 18. Holy shnikes.
Hell
Jesus.
yeet. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We it was fun talking with Warren again about all the Simpsons.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
time.
We're in a weird valley of Simpsons era too, so it was interesting to see some ones that I hadn't seen before. I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not.
That's putting it lightly.
I started watching ahead a couple episodes and man, there's some pretty bad stuff coming.
There's some good stuff too, though.
Ooh.
I feel like next year.
Mm.
Oh, maybe you don't agree.
We'll see. We'll see when we get to it.
Oh,
We'll see next
All right.
year.
Next.
oh my gosh.
Check out our Patreon. We got 100 and I think at the time of us recording this, 144 mini casts out there now,
Oh my God,
available
dude.
for your
What the fuck?
earholes. Check them out.
And we're planning that special 200 release, so
Oh my God.
just wait for that.
Are we? Are
We count
doing
we
that?
count these
Gonna be
episodes
so
in gray
special.
hairs.
God. Finally, like I said, we're recording this in advance, but at the time of you listening to this, big, gigantic thanks for everybody that did hang out with us for our 4th annual Chilloween party. I'm sure it was an absolute blast. And everyone
Way
went
better
off.
than those other ones that we did.
Way better than the other ones. Those were terrible, but this one was great. This one was
This
perfect.
This
one
was
was
the good
actually
one.
good. Finally, we got that formula down.
Got it nailed. But yeah, that's all I got. Plugs? Anybody?
I mean, no, not for the time this is coming out, certainly.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to gauge. We've done a lot of swapping recordings and whatnot. So
Swappity.
yeah, hard. There might be. I think at some point we are still planning to do horror trivia here in Seoul around Halloween time, but as of recording, I don't have those details.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Thanks for
All right.
coming to trivia, or get ready to come to trivia.
Or sorry that trivia was canceled for that horrible event that happened.
Sorry we did
Really
nothing
sad
at all.
stuff.
Sorry.
Cool.
I'm speaking to you from the grave. No.
It's your boy.
Sounds like we're clean.
Yeah.
This house is clean.
Well, our house is clean. We're not clean. Never have been.
Oh, no, filthy. Let's get into the main event. We are talking the Halloween tree, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I
Bob,
saw
look
you
at-
had this box.
I didn't even know this came out on physical.
It's on the DVD.
Oh,
You can
it's
find
physical, baby.
anywhere,
DVD.
really.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it looks old school. It looks a
look
little,
at
looks a
that.
little old.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't get that bad boy on VHS, Bob.
I should have, because there's no bonus features at all on this. So it's,
Yeah, so therefore,
what a
VHS is the only
waste.
logical option.
What a waste, the Halloween
What's that
tree.
box say, Bob?
You can find this really anywhere. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to, but this is from 1993 with a runtime of 1 hour and 9 minutes. This was directed by Mario Pelusi. This was written by Ray Bradbury, also based on his short story by the same name. Narrated by your boy Ray Bradbury as well. Stars Leonard Nimoy, Annie Barker. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. You didn't know?
Narrated by?
Yeah. I said what I
That
said.
wasn't Nimoy the whole time? Like,
No. Alex
Jesus
Greenwald,
Christ, I didn't know that.
Annie Barker, Eden Gross, Andrew Keegan, bunch of lovely folks doing some voice acting here. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. 4 children learn the origins of Halloween customs while trying to save the life of their friend. Folks, have we seen this movie before, and would we recommend people check it out? Nicole, why don't you kick us off?
Strangely enough, I had never seen this movie before, which is shocking to me because I feel like, I watched all those Halloween specials. My mom knew I love spooky stuff, so, we did it all. But somehow I missed this one. And so I was really looking forward to checking it out. And it was lovely. Like, it was very charming. I had a great time. Also, I'm totally here for Ray Bradbury. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. To probably horror fans in general, but definitely if you're like me and you love the nostalgic 80s, 90s stuff, you'll enjoy it as an adult. But then if you have kids and you want to introduce them to scary things, like, this is a great gateway horror to kind of gauge that. So yes, definitely recommend.
Right on.
Oh my gosh.
Randy, what about you?
Yeah, I think I do recommend. This is definitely like a good, solid family watch. I think this is like baby's first Halloween property almost. You know what I mean? Like this. It's the first one where you actually might have kids that can pay attention to and like maybe a reading age, because this is a pretty intelligent sort of approach to a family film about the topic of Halloween. I really like it. It's got like educational notes to it. That said, it's just a lot of fun. It is very nostalgic in its presentation. And yeah, I also never saw this until I don't know, like after college. Certainly, I didn't know it existed really, and it's like slowly been gaining steam in the growing horror community as something to watch on Halloween that people just didn't know about, a hidden gem. So yeah, I would say check it out.
Right on. Juice, what about you?
I first saw this for the first time maybe 2 years ago. 2 years ago or last year, very recently. And so I didn't grow up with it. And yeah, I would generally recommend. I think it's in this weird place. It's not a full length. It's on the shorter end, which is good because I think because of its datedness, this is perfect for much, much younger kids, like really little kids, so like 3, 4, 5, for some kind of spooky vibes. I think it might be too dated for some older kids. But yeah, in general, a good kind of family watch, short, fun to throw on. And it's got the vibes, of course, the Sea-Doo vibes that we're all looking for. But yeah, I remember when I watched it for the first time, I liked it, but I haven't been necessarily craving to go back to it. But when I throw it on, it's fun to watch. So yeah, general recommend. Did you give a recommend? Bob,
do you have thoughts?
I don't know.
Do you have some inner thoughts you'd like to share?
Does anybody know?
What do you think?
This was a first time watch for me as well. I don't know how we were all like 90s kids and like just didn't watch this.
I don't think this was widely circulated is the only thing I can figure. Like, I feel like do we know what channel it came on?
Cartoon Network.
Why?
Really?
That seems insane.
It does seem
that's
insane.
crazy.
Then I never even heard of it until I was
Same.
literally looking up Halloween specials that are like hidden gems or something.
Yeah,
and it was on a
to know the
list.
production history of this thing.
I'd heard of it for sure, but yeah,
I hadn't.
never seen it. I think if you're like in your 30s and wanting to watch this for the first time ever, it's like a loose recommend. But yeah, if you've got young ones, you're trying to get them into the mood of the holiday, the spirit of the holiday. Like, yeah, absolutely. This would be a hard recommend for sure. So I guess kind of, depends on your situation. I think there's some other stuff that hits me in a more nostalgic way where like, if I had seen this when I was like 5, it would, but just missed out on it. So I still enjoyed it for what it is, but I think if you're a seasoned horror fan and you're, roughly our age, I'd give it a loose recommend, I think.
Was this your first watch, Bob?
Yeah, first time.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Fair enough.
There you go. Sounds like mostly a recommend, though, across the four of us. So
you're the weakest of the bunch, I think. So
check it out.
That's always been the case.
That's always been.
Me and Randy are strong.
We are strong, man.
I know that because you scream it at me. That's how I can
Yeah,
tell.
that's how you know.
Yeah.
I have to scream it at people so that they know. Otherwise,
They wouldn't know.
Otherwise, they're not getting it.
They wouldn't know. So yeah, check it out. We are going to be spoiling the Halloween tree, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Whoa, Bob, you got that plot synopsis? There's actually quite a bit to get through, even though this is only like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens, and I do have it all typed up. I'll try and get through it as quickly
It's a
as
little
I can.
confusing, to be honest with you.
Nah, it's not that bad. All right, here we go. So we zoom in on a small Midwestern American town on Halloween night. We see 4 kids getting ready in their costumes. We've got Jenny as a witch, Ralph as a mummy, Wally dressing up as a monster, and Tom as a skeleton. They go to meet their friend and apparently coolest kid to have ever lived, Pip, but he's taken away in an ambulance with appendicitis. They carry on into the woods. They see Pip running, which makes them think it was probably just a prank, and he's really fine. They chase after him and end up in a haunted house. They meet a mysterious character named Carapace Clavicle Moundshroud. Moundshroud is disappointed none of the kids know why they're dressed as they are. When they see what's pretty clearly...
Do you even know who I am?
No. They see what's pretty clearly Pip's ghost steal a jack-o'-lantern from Moundshroud's Halloween tree. The jack-o'-lantern definitely resembles Pip's face. Pip then flies off to another time. The kids want to go after him with Moundshroud, who eventually agrees as long as they can keep up and are also willing to go on a scavenger hunt of sorts to learn about the origins of their costumes. First, they arrive in ancient Egypt. They learn about the Feast of Ghosts and the significance of mummification. Priests try to embalm Pip, but Ralph scares them off. Pip then flies through time once more. They chase him, and they arrive in the Dark Ages at Stonehenge. They see a bunch of Celtic druids and witches celebrating the new year. Pip briefly appears as a black cat, and Moundshroud makes some brooms fly. The kids narrowly escape some villagers looking to burn a bunch of witches as they chase Pip through time yet again and wind up in France. And they arrive at the unfinished Notre Dame Cathedral. The kids learn about the use of gargoyles and demons while finishing the construction of the cathedral with Moundshroud's magic. Pip flies away again, and they chase him to Mexico and learn about the significance of skeletons during Dia de los Muertos. They follow Pip into a catacomb where Tom apologizes to him. He admits he wished something bad would happen to Pip so he could lead the group for once. Pip forgives him and then crumbles to dust. Tom then offers 1 year off his life in exchange for Pip to return. The other kids end up making the same offer, and Moundshroud agrees. Pip reappears, grabs his pumpkin, and flies off. The kids are transported back to present day. They run over to Pip's house, and they're delighted to find him alive and well. He says he had a bunch of weird dreams while he was at the hospital. We then see Moundshroud blow out his own pumpkin, and the Halloween tree blows away into the distance, and then we roll them credits.
The cosmic ballet goes on.
Indeed.
Yeah, I did not realize that was Ray Bradbury doing was it just the intro and outro, I guess? or like no, I guess it was.
No, he
a little bit
speaks throughout. He says the
narration.
things.
Man, that's crazy because like it sounded to me like Leonard Nimoy. I did not even question it.
He
I knew
won some
Nimoy was
award for
Soundtrout
it.
at least.
And I can't. This show won like a ton of awards actually, and I know he specifically won one. I'll have to do some research and tell you what those are. But yeah, it's definitely Ray Bradbury during the whole thing.
Well, it's a great read. It's very, very like thematic. You know the thing about this, like, I'm going to start with a negative here, but like, I really like the score in this. It's really beautiful, but it is very oppressive. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of constantly hammering, and it's constantly like at the same level. There's not a lot of contrast. And so like the arc of the story kind of like just feels at the same fever pitch at all times. So like, I don't know, like that, it kind of maybe blurred up some of the like the vocalization that was going on and made it harder for me, or I just didn't really notice it because I was like, the audio was like very loud, even mixed loud, I would say. Did you guys notice that? Was it just me?
Might have been just you. I don't know. It seemed
It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, I will go fuck myself then.
Your hearing's going, old man.
Oh my god!
I would say the beginning of this film, I think, sets up really well, and I think it's one of the strongest aspects of this film. I think as it kind of goes on, it even though it's really short, sometimes it feels tedious, or it feels like it's kind of getting a little repetitive. And even though each place they go to is very interesting, some of them get less attention or less explanation than some others. And so, but the setup of Halloween, of these kids, the intro to the town, this Midwest town, and the narration about it, and the colors, and the jack-o'-lanterns, and then being excited to go out for Halloween, the timing it's set, and their friend, it's like a really, really great setup, especially for this time of year. It's kind of perfect to get you really excited for this time.
Dude, yeah, that intro could really be like just isolated and played to kick off the season, and really just like it doesn't number on you. I really think that intro is probably the strongest part of the show.
Nicole, I know these goons haven't read the short story. Have you, by any chance?
I have not actually. I want to now, but I think I probably had heard of it mostly because of the book and less because of the movie. It's something I've always been kind of aware of, but yeah, now I definitely want to visit it and see how it's different.
From what I read online about it, so we've got like sort of 4 short stories woven into this movie here, but the book I think has 8, if I remember correctly. And I'm sure they spend more time on each one too. And to Juice's point, I like what is happening in this. I think it's really interesting to go back and like investigate how these different cultures treat and talk about and celebrate the dead. But it does feel tedious because there's only like brief moments of emotion. It feels mostly like they're just like information. But like when you kind of slow down for a second and you see these kids sort of interface with Pip and like you can tell he's like genuinely afraid for his life, and there's those moments really land, but they're kind of few and far between, and it does make this like 69-minute runtime feel kind of longer than it really is.
I wonder if some of that too is because like at this point, I think, a lot of us like know about these customs now. But like if I was watching this in 93, that would have all been like brand new information to me. And I'm also like, it's like a personal fascination for me of like the origins of holidays and how they've like morphed into our modern time and how they look the same and how they look different. So I think as a child, if I had never heard any of this context, I think I would have been fascinated and would have immediately wanted to like do more research. So I would be interested to see, does the book go into more detail about some of these things?
For sure.
Yeah, because I like, and even it's fun too because they are all distinct, but they have some kind of similarities of appreciation of the dead, or well, I guess Egypt and Mexico, those two tie in, and maybe that's why I feel like Mexico kind of got gypped a little bit, and I'm wondering if maybe because it feels similar to what I feel like they spent a lot of time in Egypt, which was the first one, and they set that one up pretty well. But yeah, I like the inclusion of gargoyles. Because that's not something I just immediately associate with Halloween or even these creatures, but to know that they have this kind of their own story and life of their own, and it's not something that's brought forward as much as mummies and witches are, for instance. That's a pretty cool inclusion. So in general, I like the concept maybe more than I like how it was all ultimately pulled off, but I still, for the most part, dug what they were doing with them. I just feel like it was a bit of a bumpy ride, a bit like it could have been smoothed out a little bit more or something, but I do appreciate the concept and the inclusion of all of these.
When that kid was, when they're all dressing up and with a Tommy, whatever, the kid that dresses up as like the quote monster, at first I was like,
Wally.
Is he? Thank you, Wally. I was like, is he a werewolf? Is he a hunchback? Is like what?
Yeah.
What is he exactly? Is he a
what's
minotaur?
frustrating?
Because he had these like horn looking things. I was like, what's happening?
You know what was frustrating about that is like I was also wondering that, and every time I watch this, I'm like, what is he again? I can't remember, and how does he tie in? And it's like there's this moment where Moundshroud's like guessing what they all are, and he's like, "Oh, you're a skeleton, huh? Oh, what do you know about witches? And you dressed as a..." And then he stops himself and like goes, "Oh, that," and they just like has some other line that intercedes, and I'm like, "No, tell me what the fuck he is, please, movie, tell
What
me.
is this child?
Just confirm what he is." But yeah, like the concept of that. This is the thing is like I think this movie is kind of doing two things at once, and it's not doing the best job at it. Maybe more than two things at once, really. But the thing it's doing is like it's trying to be a compelling kids movie with a full arc or whatever, and it has that, but it also has so much like educational content. And I can understand like you don't really want to lose either of those things, because like learning about the history, like to your point, Nicole, like I really love like the stuff that they include, or that they're trying to like give a broader universal context to the idea of celebration of death and fear and all that stuff. Like I really like that conceit. And it's like, that's so dry. It's really hard to integrate into a narrative. And like, I don't think that it's integrated perfectly, which is a shame. But also like, there's something else going on with this movie where it feels it's dream logic all the time. The kids just like at the beginning, they have to ride a kite, become the tail of a kite made out of torn posters or whatever. And granted, Moundshroud's a magical man. I get it. He's a magical dude. But these kids should be maybe a little bit more afraid to travel hundreds of miles into the air on this thing just by clutching onto some paper. Like it just like... It seems disconnected from reality in a way that is a little bit more than cartoonish, even. You know what I mean? Like, or a little bit like,
in the name of
compared with the dry
Randy.
reality. It's like it's the dry reality of Dia de los Muertos and the Egyptian catacombs and all these things versus complete dream logic shit. And it's a weird bedfellow.
I know I
think
can't
is
count on
happening.
you to save my ass from Mr. Moundshroud. Oh, I'll be fucked, I guess.
I wanted to ask you guys that if you would sacrifice a year of your life for each other.
Fuck that last
Apparently
year.
not.
Well, also too, that's like there's a couple elements to that question of even this being my second time, I was confused about what was happening. I'd forgotten they sacrificed a year of their life at the end, and he's a ghost. But it's not until like the third kid comes, does his little story where they're like, "Oh, he's dying or dead or something," and I was like, "Oh," and that's kind of fucked up.
I thought
but
it was
then also
obvious though that he's a spirit, because even
maybe
the first
I'm
time
just a big dum dum.
Well, the first time they see him, they're like, we can see through him.
See through him, yeah.
In my
Very
notes, it
clearly.
literally says, "Is Pip dead?"
Yeah.
But it's
I
very
was like,
sudden
"Oof."
feeling. Like you get the like he's rushed off in the ambulance, and then the next thing you see of him, the first time you see him, he's a transparent, ghostly spirit figure, and they're chasing him through time and space. So I mean, our adult brains, I think, connect that dot fairly easily. But it's just like it's strange how much they detail. They how much time they dedicate to the detail of these like real life things, and then those sorts of things are really glossed over. Like I don't know, it's just very strange. And there's also like sometimes they're flying on gargoyles, sometimes they're on witches' brooms. Like I understand it's like thematically changing or whatever, but it's a lot. It's a lot of dream logic stuff happening.
They're also with the old man, and so I think that's part of where it gets confused, because they're helping this old man, but he's trying to steal the soul of their friend, but he is teaching them some lessons, and they're traveling
like
with
an Undertaker.
him.
I read him
he's dead.
Potentially, the Grim Reaper, or just the
Grim Reaper,
devil
basically.
himself. Yeah.
See, I didn't think he was evil. Like I never really. I don't know. I like the way that he like shows them around, or like, he never puts them in direct danger. However, that said, that is almost directly contradicted when they get to the cathedral, where he says, "I'm welcome in some places more than others," and I'm like,
he can't.
Okay,
step
maybe
on
he
hollowed
is
ground.
evil. It's a little unclear. Like I'm not sure. Like if he's there, he seems mostly interested in getting this boy's soul as the soul of Halloween for the year or whatever, and putting it in a jack-o'-lantern and putting it in the tree, and that being like his thing that he does. He's primarily focused on that, but he takes the time to show these kids what Halloween really means, and he allows them the chance to trade years of their life. Like I don't know, like he's not entirely evil. I feel like he's an impartial figure, like a death figure.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess he is
not
dead,
the devil,
because the whole lesson is to not be afraid of death, is to make company with death, so that you're not afraid of it anymore.
I kind of towards the end anyway, I was like, oh, he just is the devil, because they make this like Faustian type deal with him. But the rest of it, it does make more sense that like, he's just like, he's doing his job. It's very transactional. He's trying to take the soul because the kid died or whatever,
Also, as a
way.
kid, what's the last year of your life? I mean, even now, I'm like, well, yeah, I'd definitely give the last year of my life for my best friend. I mean,
well, Randy wouldn't. He already said that. So
I said I would. What are you talking about? I said the opposite of that.
I don't know, Randy. That's not what I heard.
now I've got a lot
we
of
are
friends,
recording this,
though,
so.
so I have to be careful about who I give these out to.
How much do you like me back, Rob? Let's ask that question.
I did love that, like, they went for the like serious ending though. I mean, that's pretty heavy for a kid's movie, that you're willing to sacrifice part of your life to save your friend who otherwise is going to die. Like that is the like 80s and 90s type of stuff that we got in kids material that I feel like you just don't see anymore. And I really love it. So I appreciated that they kept it pretty serious.
I feel
kids
like you
are really
wouldn't have gotten
soft
that.
these days.
They
didn't have
drink from the hose or nothing.
I know,
They
it's very
didn't
get off my
have-
lawn.
Never-ending story where the horse is slaughtered. And
They've never seen the Wheelers.
Dude,
They don't
In
know
fairness,
shit.
though, they live in the world that we live in. So, I mean, I think they get enough horror in their lives.
Kids need to buck up these days. It is like kind of taboo though, just generally in American culture. Like people don't talk about death a whole heck of a lot. And I think it is
child death.
Well, yes.
is
Well, just
very taboo.
Yeah, for sure. But even just like generally speaking, people kind of try their best to avoid it. And I think it's cool to see how other cultures handle it and really celebrate it like out in the open, like full force. That's like really refreshing, I think.
I don't think they could have gotten away with doing anything different with the ending, honestly, because like I mean, because like the whole thing, like we said, is about making yourself comfortable with the idea that life ends and that eventually your time will come and all that sort of thing, and not to be fearful of those things. but to instead enjoy the life that you have and all that shit, like all that good shit.
All
and
that
also
shit.
all that good shit.
Stupid, dumb, hocus bullshit.
Oh my god. Yeah, but also this was like Ray Bradbury wrote this as a book. He wrote this as a screenplay, I believe, and he stars in it. Like, there's no way he was going to have the ultimate message of this story completely cut out. Like, that was just what's going to happen, unless, like, if Walt Disney got his hands on it, maybe, because Walt gets what Walt gets. But this was a Hanna-Barbera production, it looks like, in the 90s, when Hanna-Barbera was primarily reruns on Cartoon Network. So, yeah, I don't think that was ever going to happen.
What did you think about the animation, Randy?
I am a little mixed on the animation. Like, I really liked the matte paintings. The backgrounds are fucking gorgeous. I have one in my background on my Zoom call right now because it was so pretty. Like, I really love that stuff. The hand animation, like, it feels like Hanna-Barbera Productions, which is a studio that is known for like making things on the cheap. That's how they always operated, but they're going for something more Disney-like. You know what I mean? They're going for something more feature film, like custom made. So it kind of has this, like, I don't know, a little bit of cheap feeling to it in the actual, like, animated cells of the kids and everything else. The character designs are, like, good, but not great, I wouldn't say. The character consistency isn't perfect. You know, that's stuff that you expect to see in a Flintstones episode or in, like, I don't know, the Jetsons or whatever else. But, like, this is the era where they're trying to make this akin to, like, they want this to stand up next to Aladdin or some shit, and it's just not. It's not in that realm. It's a good attempt, and I think it looks good for what it is. I do enjoy it, but it like, especially with those beautiful matte paintings behind it, again, a little bit of a disconnect.
I believe they outsourced the animation for this to the Philippines, and I don't know if that was like standard Hanna-Barbera. Like, I don't know if that's just what they always did or not, but
most animation for TV is at least partially outsourced to, like, the Philippines. Korea is a big one, and that's a known thing for sure. But, like, for it to be a feature attempt at a feature, it is strange. And if they did the entire thing in the Philippines, I don't know if that's that common. I have no idea.
But I don't know. But it is, I don't know. I guess it depends on what this was intended to be, because you were saying, oh, it's supposed to hold up against Aladdin. But is it? It's only an hour long, and it was on a Cartoon Network. So that's, I know, not, but I think in the same realm.
Like, yeah, but what this studio is normally doing is things like Scooby-Doo, where you have repeating backgrounds and shit like that.
Okay.
And like reusing animation over and over again for the cheapness of it. Like, that's what they're used to, and this is their attempt to elevate past that. And, like, they do, like, all the scenes are, like, custom. There's no repeat cells or anything like that. They're going for it. I think it's just that it's not going to reach that level. So there's, like, a wide divide between what I think they would hope it to be and what they're ultimately capable of, just based on what the resources they have available to them, the talent and time that they have available to them.
Did this remind you all of the Page Master at all?
That's a good call, Bob. A little bit. Page Master is way better than this.
Yeah,
I really like Page Master, but yeah, similar vibe.
Yeah, it reminded me of that.
You don't like Page Master?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said
why is
like
every coming out backwards?
Unbelievable.
No, I like the Page
They also name drop Christmas Carol in here, and this definitely has a similar kind of vibe with the multiple stories, just with the one quote ghost taking them through all of them instead of the multiple different ghosts. Kind of has a similar vibe though, which
kind of an anthology.
Yeah,
like esque feel to it.
Yeah.
Although it does, the wraparound is the most important thing instead of the shorts being the most important thing.
Yeah. Past, present, future, horror, fantasy, adventure, Egypt,
Mexico,
words,
the world,
things. Yeah. It reminded me of Over the Garden Wall a bit as well, and this is
shut your mouth.
Spoilers for Over the Garden Wall. If you have not seen Over the Garden Wall, skip ahead for like 2 minutes maybe or whatever.
Do yourself that favor, by the way.
Do yourself that favor. Towards the end of Over the Garden Wall, spoiler alert, we find out these kids are like in a sort of coma, and all of these things are happening in their heads, and they're sort of...
No, they're in hell, Bob.
You could say that, purgatory, whatever you want to say. But yeah, these kids are sort of like trying to outrun death in a sense, and it just kind of reminded me of that, which I'm super familiar with Over the Garden Wall, but it just kind of a similar vibe. And it's the runtime is I guess a little bit longer with Over the Garden Wall, and
it is
a little bit, not too much.
Not too much, no.
Each episode is about 10 minutes, and there's 10 of them.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's like I'm going to look it up just because I don't want to.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's longer. Similar kind of theme, animated style as well.
An hour and 50 minutes. I was going to say it's like a kind of a longer movie if you were to put it in a sequential movie order.
Quite a bit longer than this.
Plus, you got to do that YouTube one with the little vegetable man. I love that show.
The pilot, yeah.
Bonus episode.
C.W. Stoking.
I always throw that one like right in the middle. I think right after they go to the mansion, or maybe right before the mansion. One of those.
Oh, you put it in the middle? Okay, all right.
Oh no, I put it right after the schoolhouse where they go to because it's got a similar vibe. Yeah. It's still light at that point.
Gone crap.
Haven't gotten
putting on
dark.
to put on.
Did you guys
love that shit? Anyway,
did you guys find it hilarious when they're like introducing like the concept of Pip, and he's like, when he was born, all the sodas fizzed over, and this kid just like kicks so much ass.
It's a very old man way of describing the greatest kid that ever lived. Like that's like a grandpa way of saying like he was a swell kid. All the nickels shined brighter when he was in the room. Like
all the wooden nickels. I got a pretty good kick out of that. The visual of the Halloween tree with like 1,000 lit jack-o'-lanterns hanging on it is just like such an amazing concept in general, just visually. That's wonderful.
It's great.
Yeah.
Stories.
We need to have more Halloween trees like as decorations, and I'm hoping that this movie takes off in the similar way that Garden Wall has with cult status, and there's like more
Walmart, Target. You hear us talking?
Naderade. I can't remember.
They do. They listen.
He might mention this on his voicemail that we'll play in a second. I can't remember. He makes a Halloween tree each year in his yard.
I know he does. Yeah, and it looks great.
Yeah,
it's super fun, and it's just an excuse for more goddamn pumpkins, and we love them. We love our pumpkins, don't we, folks?
Pumpkins.
We do.
I read somewhere that they have one at Disneyland.
Nice.
That's cool.
I guess
That's
maybe
dope.
during their Halloween celebrations or whatever. So I was like, I'd like to see that.
That's really cool.
I bet it's great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
One of the things that resonated with me, like you said, Randy, just the beginning of this, the setup is so great. There were two things. There was a quote in there that said, better than Easter, better than Christmas, Halloween. And I was like, oh, that was me as a child. Like, that is how I felt. I mean, that's how I still feel clearly. But even as a kid, like, that's how I felt. And like, I was fully on board once I heard that. And then I think it's maybe the Mummy. I can't remember, but one of the kids is getting put into a costume and his dad is like, hopefully you don't have to go to the bathroom anytime soon. And
the
like,
Mummy, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I was Catwoman when I was like, I think 10, like 9 or 10. And my dad made me a costume and literally like sewed me into it. And he was like, are you going to be okay not going to the bathroom all day? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm fully in. So when I heard that, I was just like, oh, this takes me back to good Halloween memories.
I love that he draws a line in the sand. Is like, this is better than any other fucking holiday.
Yes.
Better than all of them.
On that, me, bro.
Thanks, Ray. The hero we need.
Yeah, exactly. We need that hero. I personally was like more into Christmas as a child than
what a
like,
loser.
Things reversed for me.
Oh,
I know. I was a piece
pretender.
of shit. I was a fucking was a fucking
raised
pawn.
We got a fucking
system.
poser over here. I I thought you were goth and cool.
Welcome to your last episode, Randy.
You thought I was goth. Okay, that's interesting.
You were goth and cool.
Okay. And those
Nobody ever thought those things at the same time. You liar.
Oh, shit.
But so actually another thing, the intro to this hit so hard, but it also really reminds me of the beginning of Something Wicked This Way Comes, which starts off in a very, very similar way, where it's just praising autumn and bringing you into this small town during autumn time. Like, this is when it's magical, and it's just so amazing like that. So he definitely, I think he really feels that way, because
he's a true believer.
He's written several things and done several properties that just take a moment to just sit and praise the magic that is the beginning of autumn and spooky season and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would be remiss. I've been in like Stephen King land, and so Stephen King's in my brain a lot. And Ray Bradbury was a really big influence on him. But I just started rereading Something Wicked This Way Comes, and like you said, the book starts with, I think the first sentence is like, October is a rare month for boys, and then it goes on about why it's so great and why autumn is so great. And similarly, Stephen King in Salem's Lot, he's talking about how the seasons turn over from summer to autumn. And the direct quote is, when autumn comes and kicks summer out on its treacherous ass. And it's just like, it's like, treacherous. Yes. I'm like, that is so resonant of how it feels when you finally get the chill in the air. So I'm here for it.
Man.
Get the fuck out of here, summer.
The thing is, like, the thing about Halloween specifically with autumn, like, that's when autumn, like supposed to anyway, like the chill really kicks in between but summer truly ends as a kid when school starts. So like there's this awful like summer break, I can do whatever I want, I can do whatever, and then it's the Pete and Pete episode where it's the end of summer break and Mr. Tasty's leaving town, and they have to go back to school and everything sucks, and then a month or so later they get this like burst back into like vibrancy and this like wonderful fucking situation. I think that those parts of the year mean so much to kids, so much, and so I think that really comes through in this work for sure.
Hell yeah. Anything else you guys want to mention before we rate this thing?
One more thing I realized, and again, this is not just to do with Halloween Tree, it's a bridge to other pop culture stuff, but when we got to the Notre Dame segment, I was like, ooh, when did Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame come out? And it came out in 96. So it's really not that far in time, but that movie is beautiful. That's a fantastically animated movie. And I loved that movie when it came out, but when I saw that it came out in 96, I had this realization that I saw Hunchback of Notre Dame and Scream the same year.
Damn.
Holy shit.
And like loved them both. And I was like, is that the year I started to become an adult? I think maybe it was, because like they were, Scream probably wasn't appropriate for me at that age, maybe. But it's just, that just struck me as like very strange that I saw this Disney movie that I love and this like seminal horror movie the same year. I'm like, how's it possible?
That's a big step. Yeah.
Yeah.
We contain multitudes. I did have a note that I had forgotten about, which is that Jenny is a little bit too comfortable pushing her friend off the top of a cathedral. Maybe don't do that,
to be fair.
Sorry.
Sorry,
move your ass, Wally.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I say "oh my gosh" a lot.
Dude,
yeah, he does.
Let's go ahead and rate this thing out of 5. Nicole, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel?
So like I already said, this is a fantastic gateway horror, I think. And I really love the setup of the history of Halloween. I didn't really know what to expect from this movie going in. And so when I saw that that's where we were going, I was like, I love it. It's so fun. Because like I said, I'm a sucker for holiday origins anyway. And And also, I think maybe all the different time periods and settings would probably help kind of like move the story along for a kid with a shorter attention span. I think it maybe keeps it interesting. Love that it was written by Ray Bradbury, who's just like a treasure of American genre. And so I would hope that maybe kids would watch this and then be inspired to go read some of his other stuff. Like I said, too, I really appreciate kind of the serious ending where the kids sacrifice themselves for their friends. Also a note that I wrote down is I think my aspiration in life is just to like be Moundshroud, where I'm just this like old, childless and crusty person living in this beautiful haunted house, just like teaching the local kids about Halloween. Moundshroud is goals.
You want to be a rotting corpse man who ushers children to the afterlife. Is that what you're saying?
Listen,
the devil.
You can do worse than being a crusty witch in your senior years. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I like cats, it's whatever. So I don't really have like a ton of criticism for this movie because I really did have a great time with it. I can't rate it as highly as some of my other like beloved children's classics just because I'm missing that nostalgia piece, that sort of unknowable nostalgia piece. But I think it's clearly a classic, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
4 flat from Nicole. Right on. Randy, how do you feel?
So this, I really do have an affinity for this movie a lot. Like on Halloween spirit alone, this thing tops so many other movies that we consider classics of this time of the year, and it deserves that praise so much. It like we talked about, just the intro alone, but the entire thing is just so centered on love of this holiday, of the celebration of spooky things, and all that other stuff that we talk about, that Ray talks about way more eloquently than I can. I love all that stuff. That said, nuts and bolts of this thing, like I've pointed out already, don't always hang together really well. Like like I said, the strange bedfellows of like making some educational turns while also keeping the story going in a way that's emotional and makes and uses dream logic on such a large scale. I don't know. It's a very, very high wire act, and they don't always nail it. I feel like also I don't know enough about these particular ceremonies they're talking about, but I do think that they are also leaning heavily into as much connective tissue as they can find for Halloween. Like a lot of these things, like Dia de los Muertos is not just Halloween in Mexico. Like that's not what it is, and they go to the lengths to explain some of it. But I feel like there's key aspects missing for the sake of drawing the comparison. So even on the educational front, I think there's probably a few things that are missing. But like, goddamn, the spirit of this thing, the matte paintings on this are beautiful. The animation is really going for it. I give it credit for that. Although I do think it still comes off as fairly cheap, and I guess part of that is because it was outsourced. And they were doing as much as they could with a budget that couldn't compare to the other modern films of the day. I guess all that kind of rolls together to a situation where I really like this movie. I'm happy to throw it on any Halloween. If somebody wants to watch it or whatever. I'm not necessarily craving it. Like Justin said, I'm not really super craving it all the time, like every Halloween, but it's a nice thing to watch. And man, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit of two minds about it. I think I'm going to go with a 3.5 because I really am very positive towards it, but it's got its faults. I just, objectively, there's some things with it that just don't hang together for well. And the audio is one of those things too. I know I pointed that earlier. That may just be me, but it seems like it's always at the music never goes dark. It's always like triumphant kid score, and it's going at full blast. And like, we need a little bit of downtime. We need a little bit of variance there. Even like any Disney movie, for example, Disney animated movie is going to have parts where like the music turns menacing or whatever, and it doesn't really do that. It just stays at this like this the whole time. So I don't know. That's one complaint that stuck with me. Maybe just me though.
Cool. 3.5 from your boy Ray and DZ. Juice, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit cooler on this, but not necessarily in a dramatic way. I just, not growing up with it. I feel like if I did grow up with it, there would be a lot more nostalgia built in that would boost it up. But seeing it for the first time as an adult, I really appreciate, the opening and the vibes it's going for. But and even I appreciate the effort to be educational, because as an adult, I think that's really interesting. But then also trying to think from the perspective of a kid, I'm like, would that be interesting? I don't know. Maybe it would be. But I think they kind of fumble it a little bit, because even as an adult thinking that's very interesting, I get worn out by it really quickly, how they ultimately handle it. And so if they were able, and because there is a contrast, because I'm able to look at the beginning and say, wow, that intro, the first 15 minutes is so strong that it makes some of the other parts feel even more weaker, because they were able to capture such a specific feeling with those first 15 minutes and representing something that just doesn't really ever come back. So you like start at the peak and you just kind of keep going down. But I do like the ending. I do like that it's a serious ending. I do ultimately like that they're very clear that Pip is dying or is dead and his soul is being stolen. So I respect that. I feel like Mexico kind of got gypped, and their holiday didn't really get represented as well as some of the other ones. And then also too, it's a little bit confusing about this old sinister man. Is he bad? Is he good? I don't know. Maybe he's just neutral, neutral death. But I like it, but I don't think it's not gonna be a yearly watch for me. I understand why it's picking up steam again, but even for me, I think it'll be like rotational. Every now and then I'll want to watch it, but I'm curious to see so the next time would be my third watch, if I'm able to make it all the way through, or if I really just want to kick it off for like the first 30 minutes and then be like, okay, there's other things to watch. It's time to move on. So I don't know. We'll see. Ultimately, though, I'm going to give this one a 3. I think it's solid. I like it. I think it's got more positives than negatives, but I do think it's got some negatives. Bob, out of 5, where are you going to put the old Halloween tree?
I think I love the concept of this quite a bit, more than the film itself. If I had to guess, it probably works a lot better on a page where you've got a little more time to kind of sit with these themes and these cultures and like really like absorb those things. It does feel like once they start traveling back in time, it's just very like we got to move, we got to hit these marks because we got to get to the next one. We've only got so much time to work with, they just kind of cruise through it. And like I appreciate the brevity in some degree, but it makes it feel a little I don't know, too fleeting. I think that like the emotion it just doesn't quite impact you. And if you already know some or most or even all of like the history, then there's not a whole lot to necessarily hold your attention. If you're a younger person, then maybe that's not the case. But also, yeah, it could potentially just be a little too like informational to hold your attention as a younger person. So I do love what they're going for quite a bit, and I did enjoy it overall. I'd watch it again, definitely not annually. And I think to your point, Juice, like the Halloween, like the setup of the holiday and the celebration of the holiday is fantastic. And then once we go back in time, that's gone, and you don't necessarily have that same kind of reverence for the other time periods because it feels so like rushed. It just feels like we're just blasting through stuff here. But it is kind of interesting to see when they finally get to Egypt, like they bust out the mummified corpse of their granddad and they're having like a meal with him, and like that is impactful and like spooky, especially if you're like a child. You're like, oh my god, it's a corpse at the dinner table. Like that's kind of
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Light.
It is. And when they go to Stonehenge, and we find out that witches aren't necessarily evil, they're just knowledgeable, and people fear knowledgeable folks, and they don't know what to do, so they try and kill them. Like they work through a lot of these really interesting ideas, but it's just at like a breakneck pace. I think if it was like a proper feature length film, I think it would have done this a service. Good, but not great. Without the nostalgia goggles on this, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 on the first time viewing here. And that's going to put our aggregate at a 3.5 as well. And, yeah.
I'm sorry. I just want one thing about this animation. Like, I'm looking at this, like, if this had been made like 3 to even 2 years later, I feel like the animation would have like really gone up through the roof, because like a lot of the people that worked on this, I'm looking through their credentials here and stuff. I'm like, they work on shit like fucking Johnny Bravo, Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, things that are like very well animated, even for television. And so I just feel like I don't know, like I feel like this is just like Hanna-Barbera dipping their toes into like animation that they hadn't, in a way that they hadn't really focused on. I just want to go back to that for 1 second. I'm sorry.
No problem. But as is usual around these here parts, if you guys do pick a flick for us to review on the show, we encourage you to send in a voicemail or an email with your own thoughts and rating. Nader Ray did send over a voicemail, so we're going to hear what he has to say right now.
What up, boys? It's Nader calling in with my review on the Halloween tree. This is my U-pick. Why was that my U-pick? That's pretty obvious. It's a friggin' wonderful movie. It's Halloween season. And I watched this about 4 years ago for the very first time. And I fell in love with it right away. Right at the opening credits. The animation is just wonderful. The score is outstanding. I could buy a vinyl record of the score. It's great. And you got Ray Bradbury's writing with him narrating. It's all so charming. But yeah, the animation is such a throwback. It still holds up to this day. Can't get enough of it. This movie influenced me enough to where I actually make my own Halloween tree decoration. Every year I take solar lights, attach them to pumpkin tails, and hang them in the tree, and it looks wonderful. So this movie, yeah, it has its effects on me. It's very sweet. I will say the excessive use of "oh my gosh," it's ridiculous. I was tallying up this last time I watched it, and I think we hit over a dozen. I don't know the exact count. I lost track after 12. So that's really that's my one bad critique. The other bad critique is the Notre Dame scene doesn't hit as hard as the other ones, and I think part of it just has to do with that it's dark and bleak and not as full of colors as the other scenes. That's my other one. But beyond the excessive use of "oh my gosh" and Notre Dame, I do love this movie. I love it so much. It's just charming. That's really the only word I could say about it. It's charming. And I'm sitting here at the Culver's parking lot, mowing down on some their flavor of the day, which is the Oreo and cheesecake custard. So you're getting yourself a little screaming and creaming going on right now. I'll take a little bite for you just to get my reaction. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That cheesecake is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Oh, those chunks of cheesecake.
Okay, let's stitch that in with the next voicemail that he sent.
Oh my gosh.
Extend that voicemail, Bob. Gosh, you ran me out of time. anyways, I guess I really don't have much more to say besides happy Halloween, hell yeet, hell skeets, and keep on chilling. Love you guys.
Awesome.
Some good cream.
Well,
Thanks.
yeah, some cream
Thanks.
in there.
Even though I was the lowest on the scores, I'm really glad we got to cover this, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Good
man.
Halloween watch.
It's very, very, very good pull. It's good. It's a movie that needs that is on the upswing of notoriety of people knowing it, and I want to be a part of that round that says, hey, this is worth your time for sure.
I like the trend of you guys going back and revisiting like Halloween specials. That's a lot of fun. So keep on keeping on.
We got to go back and revisit.
We're cashing those nostalgia checks.
Everybody else are doing it. We might
all
as well
making a
join.
killing.
Why
off
not Bob? Everybody else is getting paid off nostalgia. Bob needs his taste too.
You're
Give him a
right.
taste.
These blues don't buy themselves, okay?
They don't buy themselves.
They definitely don't buy themselves. I think we can all agree on that much.
They just show up. I don't know where they come from. I can't stop.
Nobody does.
gift
That's what
cards, though,
Alice
right?
says.
They just
Where do these keep coming from?
I don't
This is
know.
the third delivery this hour.
It's the Lord's will.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Naderade did forget to rate it, but he shot me a message saying it was a 4 out of 5 on this.
All right.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and jump over to our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these folks guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is on RottenTomatoes.com. Unfortunately, because this is a pretty little known film, there is no tomatometer for the critics. There's no critic score here. But there is a poop meter, a popcorn meter, a user rating. The cowards in the top just won't bother with this delightful film. So we are going to jump right over to the user score. There are just over 1,000 ratings, it looks like, or 1,000 plus anyway. I'm going to start with our esteemed guest, Nicole. Out of those 1,000 plus ratings, what would you imagine the positive aggregate score would be? The aggregate
I
positive
think
score.
this is going to be pretty high because a lot of people grew up with this. And as we learned from the Nickelodeon episode, people tend to go high on these things. I'm going to say 88.
88. All right. We'll go to Soju. Soju, what do you think that these users are saying about this movie?
Yeah, it's probably pretty high. That's quite high, so I'll play the numbers and say 75.
75. All right. Bob, round us out. Over, under, somewhere in between. What are you thinking?
I'll be generous and go just with a 90 flat.
90 flat. All right.
Wow.
Well, let me, that's some quick math, actually. Nicole, you're going to take it this time. 84%. Just 4 points away from
So
perfect.
close.
Nice.
I
There you
never
go.
win. I never win these.
Oh,
You
well,
have now.
congratulations.
Hail Skeet. Sorry, I have to go with Skeet. Sorry.
Now we
Bob.
have- you can write it off on your taxes.
Can you?
Yes.
Man, I've been missing out.
I know. You got to get a better CPA, buddy. Yeah. So 84%, there's 1,000 out of those 1,000 plus ratings. Yeah, I think that was a good call. Like the people that are rating this are people that have found and loved this or grew up loving it mostly. But here, as we do, I'm going to read a couple of the more negative reviews and see if they're funny, good, what. I'm only seeing most of them are mid to 5-star though. Like there's very little that goes beneath that. So I'm just going to go with one that's 2.5 stars. A very bad film with a fantastic twist ending.
Twist?
What? I
What
don't
was
know
the
what this person's.
twist?
I don't know.
The deal the kids make, I get. That's not a twist.
That's not a twist. I don't think that
We're
this.
not Shyamalan here.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan over here.
Sherman Bourbon. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this person's talking about.
Me either, man.
Okay, one more 2-star rating here. Neither fish nor fowl. When I saw this as a child, the story was too dark. When I saw it again as an adult, the animation and the script were too childish to carry the story. Neither fish nor fowl,
What
and it's FOUL,
is
so
happening?
it's not.
Well, I mean, he's
Even-
just saying like it doesn't work in either case. Like it's too scary for the young kids. It's too childish for the adults.
Is that a normal
Fish?
saying?
Is that an idiom? I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, I get what he's going for.
Yeah.
But
Okay, no, it is. That is an idiom. I just,
Oh, okay.
but it's supposed to be foul, as in
maybe it's
chicken.
British.
Like, yeah, Nicole, you knew that the whole time. You're just holding back on us.
You dumb
Yeah.
dumb fool.
They'll get there on their own time. Just
Let's just
Sometimes
let
they
them
gotta
dig their own
self-educate.
grave. Let's just let them.
I definitely knew the foul situation was not the proper.
That did not
use of
seem
the
right. All right. Well, I don't know. I guess I could understand that point of view. I suppose that it was too dark as a kid. As an adult, the animation and the script were too
You're a
childish.
lame kid, sir.
Yeah,
First of all,
let's like
the script should be childish. It is for children.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can say what, like, I don't know. It's
just because
I
you
don't
were
know.
a weenie.
Yeah,
Don't take it
bet he
out
got
on this
roasted.
bill.
Like
I
a
bet
loser.
so.
Oh shit! All right, let's gonna call that on the Rotten Tomato segment. Bob, I'm guessing that trivia is kind of light on this. Am I right about
Yeah,
that?
there was like almost no trivia. I will say, I mentioned the awards earlier. It did win an Emmy for outstanding writing
awesome.
in an animated program. But that was about it. Yeah, the Ray Bradbury novel came out in 1972. If you want to pick that up, you can. There's the original version, and there's like an extended version that has the screenplay in it as well. So
Oh no shit! That's
Well,
awesome.
there should have been a lot of extra bonus features on your disc that you can talk about for trivia, right?
You know,
Like some
yeah, that's
things
the
you
whole point of
learned in the
physical media, right, Bob?
commentary,
I wish.
or some behind the scenes footage, or something like that, right?
I
There's
wish
gotta
you were
be.
right. I wish you were right, but you're just dead wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, so really no trivia. Are we going to do a Cooter of the Week for this child's tale? Is there a Cooter? Do we think there's a...
I
feel
think
like
like
it's
the
a-
Nick or Tree. That's kind of a skip.
It's kind
I
of,
don't-
yeah, kind of a weird thing. Well, you know what we can do? We can talk about what we've been watching this week. Let's do it.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Hey, Nicole, what you been watching?
More than usual since we are solidly in the Halloween season. Because you know how it is. Even when we're doing whatever, you got to put spooky stuff on in the background. But I finally got to watch Oddity, which I missed at the Overlook Film Fest because I left a day early, and then everyone was like, "Oh, it's the best movie there. It was fantastic," and I was like, "Great." So I finally watched it and enjoyed it quite a lot. I don't know if I think it was the best movie I saw there, but still enjoyed it quite a bit. I rewatched Hell House LLC Carmichael Manor, which is the new one that came out last year. And that movie was creepy last year when I watched it. I really liked it. But this year, I was home alone and I watched it in our bedroom and like I had to leave a light on.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, because I was unsettled, which that doesn't really happen a lot for seasoned horror fans, but like I found myself thoroughly creeped out and like the closet door was barely open, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, is there going to be like a clown in my closet?" There were no clowns. Marked safe from clowns. But that was a lot of fun to revisit, and I really like to watch kind of that whole franchise over the course of October. You know, there's the first one's really solid, and then the second and third one like have some really terrible moments, but I also just really enjoy the whole thing. So it was kind of fun to revisit the latest entry. And then, as I mentioned, my mom and I went to Maine week before last. And so we visited like all of the places that inspired mostly It and Pet Sematary. And so I've had just Stephen King on the brain even more than usual. So my mom and I, when we were in Maine, watched a bunch of King adaptations. So we watched the It miniseries, we watched Dark Half, we watched Maximum Overdrive, which
shit.
She had not seen Maximum Overdrive in like maybe since it came out, and like she and I had a blast.
Yeah.
And then the next day we went and had blueberry pie at the truck stop that inspired that truck stop.
Holy shit!
Nice.
Yeah. So that
You know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
we made you. Yeah. So that was just like that was a lot of fun. And so that sort of culminated in the most recent Salem's Lot adaptation, which was just released on HBO. So I watched that a couple of days ago and have mixed feelings on it. But in general, I'm like, it's October. It's a new Stephen King adaptation. Like, I'm here for it. So it was a nice little kind of bookend on all the other stuff that's been in my brain lately.
Right on. Ray and DC, what you been watching?
Yeah, similar. You know, we're in Halloween season. Watching some Halloween related stuff. I ran WNUF Halloween special the other day. It was very fun, as always. I spun back through Cobweb, which I hadn't seen since my first viewing. And that's a really, really solid Halloween watch as well, I think. I enjoy that one quite a bit. Maybe a little long, but I enjoy it. I finally saw the first episode of Uzumaki, and that is like completely faithful to the book, including some things that I don't necessarily love about the book, but everything is in there. They are doggedly determined to recreate that thing in animation, and it looks fucking great.
It's on my list.
Yeah, it's worth a watch for sure. I've been playing through a little bit more of Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, slowly but surely chipping away at that. And then last, I'll mention just something that's like a smaller thing that's very not horror related, but a content creator that I've followed for years and years called John Boyce has a show called Pretty Good, and it's come back from retirement on the Secret Base channel on YouTube, and he just released their final installment of a 3-part series about the Reform Party in the 90s. It's just a long form story, basically a podcast you can listen to with interesting visuals and like the most genteel human being alive narrating it, who's John. He's like the most agreeable human being that's ever walked the earth. I'm convinced of that. Just talking about like how weird it was that there was the last major third party in America, how that went and why that is no longer a force in politics right now. So if you need more political content in your life, as I'm sure you do, I would recommend it. But setting all that aside, yeah, the Halloween stuff's been taking precedent for sure. That's it for me.
Cool. Juice, what you been watching?
The only thing I watched was something I had never seen before, and it was a James Bond film from the 70s called Live and Let Die, which is set in New Orleans.
That's the one where he walks on the gators?
It's the one where he walks on the gators.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I there's a lot of old James Bond films that I haven't seen, and so when it was on, I was kind of fascinated by it because it's so cheesy. And then there's a lot of really sketchy things going on in that movie that it was kind of fascinating to me. I was
like
just kind of
misogyny.
Yeah.
Well,
In my James Bond movie? How dare you?
Yeah, and some racism, just blatant racism going on. It's
that's probably true.
Yeah, it was an interesting watch, I'll say that. And it's got some style. It's came out in 73. So it's very particular. Yeah, I was talking about misogyny. One of the Bond woman or whatever, her whole deal in this is she's she's like a tarot card reader, and so she can read the future until as long as she remains a virgin. So the whole spin is she's owned by this super villain or whatever until she meets James Bond.
Oh my god, dude!
And so
no,
he takes her power away.
That is out of control.
Yes, that's what a boy.
It is ridiculous, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Honestly, there's some wild shit happening in that movie.
I prefer to think of it as the James Bond movie where he walks on alligators.
Well, that's also that's an aspect of it. So anyway, so I watched that for the first time. It was ridiculous, and that's all I've been watching for the spooky season.
What a choice!
Bob, Bob, what you been watching?
Where's it go on the calendar, Juice?
Right,
dude, definitely more of a summer movie, that's for sure.
All right.
Gators don't belong in October, I'll tell you that.
Unless you live in Florida. I watched Rebel Ridge, which was something that Randy put on my radar a couple weeks ago. It's on Netflix, the new Paul Saulnier joint. Dude, I really, really had a good time with it. Solid
Jeremy
movie.
Saulnier, isn't it?
Is it? Sorry, Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah.
From Green Room and Blue Ruin fame, Murder Party,
and
fame.
most importantly, Murder Party.
Yeah. Definitely like too long because for some reason every movie on Netflix has to be over 2 hours. It didn't need to be that long, but I really enjoyed the ride. It reminded me most of Blue Ruin, where this one guy is sort of like on this journey and he's doing what he's got to do to like help his brother get out of jail, and then things just go sideways in this small Alabama town, and it's just like a great action drama. It's super, super entertaining, and I do recommend checking it out for sure. I also watched VHS Beyond on Shudder. This is the 7th in the series, I think. And it's
really
more sci-fi driven than, I guess, pure horror. Have you guys checked it out yet?
Not yet. Is like alien abductions kind of vibe?
Yeah, definitely that kind of vibe. It's each segment kind of, there's 5 of them, and then a wraparound as well. Each one kind of does its own interpretation of like an alien story. One of them is like, I wouldn't even really, very, very loosely alien related. And it's the Justin Long written and directed. He and his brother, I forget his brother's name. It's like the Long brothers wrote and directed one. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like very loosely alien related. But mostly good stuff. I would recommend checking it out if you're into the VHS franchise. They are kind of hit and miss, but I definitely more good than bad, I would say. No true stinker either. They're just sort of like good and less good, I guess. Kate Siegels, she directed a script written by her husband, and that was the final segment in this series, and definitely was the standout. It was easily my favorite.
Very interested in that. Like I've been interested to see her as a creator as opposed to just a performer.
Yeah, it's dope. It's really good.
All right.
I recommend checking it out. And finally, I also watched the Salem's Lot remake. Didn't really dig it. It was, I don't know. It just made me wish I was watching the miniseries pretty much the entire time. Wasn't really for me. But that's on Max currently if you want to check that out. And that's about all I've been watching. We got a couple voicemails, so let's go ahead and jump into our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you guys are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. First up, we're going to hear from Matt. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, guys. I got a message for Steve. He called in during the Halloweenies episode. Steve, next time you're dreaming and the Straight Chilling crew shows up and then you realize you're in the dream, don't fucking fly away. Turn them into space vampires, man. Space vampires.
Okay, that was it for me. Very explicit instructions about his personal, private, pink life in that particular video.
He had like a Matthew
recording.
McConaughey vibe towards the end. Space vampires. Space vampires. Like,
got to pump those numbers up. Yeah, he's. It's concerning to me that that's what he would choose to do if he had control over us.
We all know what Matt would do with space vampires.
We do. I'm not going to cue that bump because I can't find it. But he would fuck us, is what is happening here.
That's what he's saying.
We know this to be true. It's on the record.
That is what he is saying. Thanks for calling in with your kinks there, Matt. Appreciate you. Last but not least, we are going to hear from Sarah. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Hi, Straight Chilling Crew. This is Sarah. I hope y'all are doing well, especially those of you who are in Florida or anywhere where you're dealing with the aftermath of the hurricane. Stay safe. You folks mentioned wanting to hear some voicemails for the past few episodes. So here we go. Honestly, I'm just going to read some points that I've written down while listening to the podcast the past few months. So number one, it would be so funny if y'all reviewed the Twilight series as horror movies, especially if it was done in a super serious manner. I just think it would be really entertaining. So if a listener could pick Twilight as a Patreon pick or something like that, I think, it could qualify as a horror movie. Number two, do you guys have any stop motion recommendations? I'm thinking Fantastic Mr. Fox or the Netflix original House. The House is also an anthology, and I really like how the different plot lines weave together in the end. So if you guys have any stop motion recommendations, I'd love to check it out. And third, I think my last point, please bring the ladies on a little bit more. Tammy, Nicole, Caitlin, I love their input and their perspectives, and I always enjoy when they're on. It feels like a special treat. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Cooter of the week. Cooter of the week. Okay. Bye.
We are lady repellents over here, so it's tough to get them on.
Nah.
It's a
Well, also,
I guess
we
my female perspective isn't good enough for you.
listen. We have good news for what was her name? Stephanie.
Sarah.
Sarah. Well, Sarah, Caitlin has a Twilight podcast.
True.
It's the Soak podcast, and it sounds like it's a riot. I'm not a Twilight fan, so I've not listened, but I'm sure it's great. So, Sarah, you're a Caitlin fan, you're a Twilight fan.
Yeah.
Go check out her Twilight podcast.
Yeah,
for sure. And
Skin of a Killer. Tit Soak, I think, is the full.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right.
This is the Skin of a Killer. Yeah,
I thought that was a non sequitur.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're right, Bob.
That would be fun to do, though, to attempt to do. And it's something we've discussed before, but just never have, talking about a Twilight movie.
Who's got the time?
Maybe.
Sorry to send people away from the
Once a
Straight
week.
Chilling Crew.
No.
Sorry.
Go check out
How
everything
dare
Caitlin does.
you.
Everything Caitlin
We're
does.
the only podcast in town.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Totally. Nobody talks about horror anywhere in any way.
Nobody reviews movies with their friends, and then here's the twist: they joke around about it.
What?
What was that?
Especially
Is that
with
a
our
New Yorker
distinct,
cartoon
unique
or what?
perspectives that we
Randy,
bring.
that is such a funny joke. Thank you for
I
coming
know.
up with
That's
it.
an original.
Stop motion animation Rex.
Yeah, there's
That
definitely
Wes
a few,
Anderson film, right? With the dogs. I mean, that has
Isle of
nothing to do with
Dogs
horror.
is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's not horror. That's true. I think that one of the underrated. I don't remember who did this, but it's one. This is something that I came across in the middle of the night on cable when, like, we didn't know what it was, but it was a Peter and the Wolf stop motion animated thing. It's just a straight Peter and the Wolf retelling, but the stop motion makes it so fucking creepy. I remember being so weirded out, and I was like 12 or something when I watched this. I don't know, probably older than that, but it was just very, very eerie. I recommend that for just eeriness. There's a movie called Mad God, which is an incredible achievement for stop motion animation. There's the movie stop motion, which is just came out last year, which is last year or this year?
This year.
It was this year?
Earlier
Holy
this year,
shit.
yeah.
So it's been a long year. Yeah, that just came out this year, and it's definitely fucking horror. That's worth your time for sure. I also really like The House. I think that's a great rec. And then there's one other thing I was going to mention called The Shivering Truth, which I think is an Adult Swim thing, but it's in a series, like a horror kind of dark comedy series. It's like all dream logic shit being portrayed through stop motion. It's very fucking weird and bizarre. So I would recommend checking that out. And if you like an episode, maybe just keep it rolling. That's what I got off the top of my head. Anybody else got any?
Was Guillermo's Pinocchio, was that stop motion?
Yes, it was.
I believe it
Guillermo
was.
del Toro's
Yeah.
Pinocchio. That's fucking great.
Which is not horror, but Pinocchio's a little twisted.
Dude, that particular Pinocchio retelling is dark as shit. So,
Yeah, he goes dark places with that.
Yeah.
We love him for it.
We do.
We sure do.
He just wrapped filming on his Frankenstein movie. Oh my goodness.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I can't wait.
Nice.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
Oh my gosh.
I never saw that
Oh
Little Prince
my
film.
Gosh. I never did either, actually.
No, me either.
Yeah, I don't know if that ended up being good or not.
Oh my
gosh!
There it is. James and the
Finally
Giant
Fantastic
Peach
Mr. Fox,
is a good
yeah,
one.
is good for autumn, as she had mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad
Well,
Monster
which-
Party, if you haven't seen that. It's Rankin
Mad
Bass,
Monster
but Halloween.
Yep,
Um,
it's a good one.
Pretty good.
We'll have to cover that one
good shit.
eventually.
Nightmare Before
I mean,
Christmas,
Coraline,
of
of
course.
course.
Coraline.
Fucking
Frankenweenie.
Norman.
Your Corpse
Frankenweenie's
Bride.
all right.
Yeah.
You got your corpse brides. You got it all. You got it all.
You got. Yeah, that's a bunch. That's a whole heap.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of those are new to you and you can check them out, Sarah. Thanks for calling. Again, if you guys are listening and would like to call to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Any prompts you guys want to throw out?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
What was your favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
Ooh, okay.
Good
I want to hear all
right.
about it.
That you wore or that you saw around?
That you wore.
Oh.
Mm.
The one I always think of is when I went as a TV set that had the Power Rangers on it.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
I was a very meta kid, I guess. I don't know.
Very specific.
I'm not going as a Power Ranger. I'm going as the real thing that we love.
The television. That's amazing. Good shit. My mom famously made a clown costume for me, and she put it on me when I was like 3, I think, and I just started crying. I just was not about it.
That's adorable, though.
Yeah.
I had a mask. Outfit that was the gold suit with like the golden hat and everything. That was
That's
pretty
rad.
fly back in the day.
Pretty fly.
I was a Ninja Turtle a lot too. I fucking love Ninja Turtles. I don't know how many years in a row I was Ninja Turtles, but many.
Many.
35 years I've gone.
I was also
strong. We're planning for the future, I assume.
I'm dressed as one right now. I also was famously Al Borland one year, and that mere fact, heard by a group of my high school friends, netted me the nickname of Borland for the rest of my life, basically.
I think we called you.
I think
Borland
we called you that before we knew that.
Yeah, and
which
then
was a weird.
that's right. No, you're right. Because I wore a
shirt one
plaid
time.
shirt. Yeah, I wore a plaid shirt once,
Plaid
and then it turned out you're right. I didn't reveal that to you guys until years later because I was like,
And
this
then
is
it
too
blew
much.
our
It's
mind. I
too
think
much
it
for
blew
me
our
to do.
minds.
It did, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
I can't reveal this now. This is a hidden shame now.
Oh man.
What about you, Nicole?
So mine, like I mentioned earlier, I was obsessed with Batman Returns. And so Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was like an icon to me when I was 9-10 years old. And so I was Catwoman 2 years in a row. But what made it so special is that like I said, my dad made it. So my dad's like a very like manly man, you know. But he also
like
has
me and Randy, strong.
Yeah, strong. Yell it. No. But he also has like a creative side most people don't know about. And so when he saw how like obsessed I was with Catwoman, we like bought a cat costume, but it had a long way to go. So he completely reconfigured the ears so they were right. He put all the stitches in it, all the big white stitches in it. He taught me how to crack a whip. So I like had a whip and knew how to crack it in the playground at 9 years old. So, and he did my makeup, like looked at the movie stills and made sure my makeup was right. Like this man went above and beyond. So, like it was just like, it was pretty epic. And so, like I said, I did that 2 years in a row. And that is just like my best Halloween costume memory by far.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that
it was
a
great.
Good one.
Way to go, Dad. Damn.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Call in. Let us know. 904-638-3231. Nicole, thanks so much for sitting in with us again. We love having you on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I'm always happy to come, especially during spooky season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Don't forget to check out Light and Shadow Podcast everywhere you get your podcasts. Next week, it's a big one. Episode 500 dropping. Get ready for it.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
What the timeline is here.
I know. We're jumping all over the place. Yeah, we're talking about Scream 2 next week. And there's a whole bunch of other crazy shenanigans that are going to happen. Get ready for it. Try to get ready for it. It's a lot.
Prepare yourself.
It's a lot.
You'll tear your soul apart.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about Scream 2 because that is the movie that was sort of the beta test for this podcast over 10 years ago now.
Going back to the start.
Yeah, we're going back to it. Never did release that episode, so we're doing it again. Here we go.
That's right.
Check out Scream 2. Get ready for episode 500. Find us on all the socials. Search Straight Chilling Podcast. Will pop right up. If you want to join in the daily Slack channel conversations, let us know, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. And until next week, as always, please keep chilling.
Oh my god!